Welcome to the Gnosis Lisbon Meetup. We are back in town, as you can see. Please make silence while the presentations are going on. The last two meetups, we were having them in London and afterwards in Berlin. So we were out of town for a few months. Yeah, and now we are welcoming our first guest and presenter. His name is Diogo Almeida. He's representing Lightshift Capital. He's also one of the heads behind It Lisbon since the first edition. So please, a round of applause for Diogo. And he will be telling us more about Ethereum gas derivatives. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ethereum gas derivatives and why I think they are important for the ecosystem. And so, Ethereum gas prices are always spiking. They are very volatile since since Ethereum existed basically, and we can actually see this on the last 14 days of Ethereum gas prices. There's huge spikes in volatility on daily prices, and so this is very bad for UX, right? Users never know how much they're gonna have to pay for a transaction. They are paying for a service that costs X one day and then 2X the other day and 3X the day after. So it's very hard to estimate these costs, and so. That's why I think Ethereum gas derivatives are needed, because I think they can help applications hedge Ethereum gas costs and also create a better UX for users. So today I want to raise a little bit more awareness to this solution and also highlight some of the issues that have been happening around this area. About myself, as Carolina said, I'm part of Lightshift Capital. I also organize It Lisbon for a few years now, and my background is in engineering. Very briefly about Lightshift, we are an early stage fund based in Portugal. We invest in crypto companies, and we like to be very involved and help them build with our team of engineers as well. And so, touching on the point, and before explaining what's gas derivatives and how they can actually help us hedge Ethereum gas, maybe just giving a quick background on hedging and what it is. So, we all here are crypto guys, right? And guys and gals, and we want to go to Thailand for DevCon in 6 months. And being responsible adults, we're gonna buy the ticket now because we can have a cheaper price, right? However, let's say that in 4 months, the road is crazy, there's a new war coming out, and the price of oil spikes, right? So, however, you already bought your ticket, right? The airline wasn't expecting this. They already made their calculations on how much they're gonna have to spend on the trip, and they already sold you the ticket. But now the price of oil went up massively, right? And so they have a few options, right? They either charge you more for the ticket, which you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna pay more for a ticket that you already bought, or they can lose money because their margins are so small that a 20% price increase is gonna make them lose money, or they can actually not make the trip happen. They say, oh, I simply cannot do it. It's too expensive. You have to stay in Lisbon, right? And that's why they hedge their own positions, right? They use financial markets to hedge it. And how they do it is basically there's two sides of the market. On one side, there's the consumers of this product, of oil, which are the airlines in this case. On the other side, you have the producers, so Saudi Aramco, BP, and all of the oil producers, right? And then in the middle, there's a middleman that hedges it out of both sides. So the consumers, they bet on the price of oil going up, and the producers bet on the price of oil going down. And why is that? Because if the price of oil ends up going up, the airlines, the consumers, they're gonna have a higher expense on oil, but they're also earning more money because of the bet they made, right? So they are spending more on oil, but they are making more money on the financial markets because of the bet. And so this averages out, and they end up in theory, not losing money, right? I'm oversimplifying things just to make a point, but so, and then on the other side, if the price of oil goes down, the producers are going to make less money because they are literally getting paid less for the product that they are selling, but they are also earning more money on the financial markets because they have a short position, right? They are betting that the price is going down. And so this averages out. And that's basically how hedging works. Again, very simplified. And like, why should you care about all of this, right? Because like, in theory, gas, like Ethereum gas functions just as oil, right? In the real world, if you want to do something productive, you have to like pay for energy, right? If you want to produce like a new brand of clothing, you have to pay for the energy, and that's mainly done through oil, right? And so in Ethereum on chain, if you want to make something productive on chain, you have to pay for the computation, and that's done through gas, right? And so that's why I think that like these derivatives are so important. And if you look into the numbers, like on the last 90 days, the price of oil only changed like 20%, right? So it was at like 77, and now it was at like 91, and then back to 80. This is like a 20% change. And that's like trillions of dollars used to hedge, just 20% change, right? But then like you look into the price of Ethereum, it went 4x, right? It was at 20, then 80, and now like it's back at 15, right? And so like if we are spending trillions to hedge like a 20% change, like hedging this 4x increase should be worth something, right? We should be able to do it, and it's worth doing it, right? And so, why is this important now, right? I think it was always important, but now it's becoming feasible to do it, and I think it's one of the most important next steps to make UX improve. And the reason is like we want to pretty much like abstract like blockchain away for users, right? We don't want users to know that they're actually interacting with blockchain, or if they want to know, they can, but they don't have to like know like what's gas, what's a wallet. It's like everything should be abstracted, right? But the issue is that for you to do that, you have to abstract gas payments away, right? And like things like account abstraction with paymasters and similar entities are going towards that route where applications are trying to abstract the payments away and do the gas payments on their side, right? And also, like, L2s are spending millions on gas, right? Even with blobs, like, it's still a big cost for them. It's still one of the biggest costs for them, right? And so, how can applications actually handle this volatility, right? They can keep things as they are, they keep gas separated, and the user pays for gas on their side, right? So they say, my service costs X, and then gas is like something else that you have to pay for, right? They can like abstract the gas away, where the user pays like in USDC, and then they use that USDC to pay for it, but they can still pass the cost to the user, where like from day to day, the price of the product changes in like USDC terms, just to reflect that increase in gas costs. This is like every day you go to buy a product, and every day the price changes. Again, it's better, but it's still not a great UX. They can like reduce their margins, aka they can take the hit themselves, but like this is not great because they are doing less profit every time that the gas goes up. And so this is terrible for treasury management, and they're never going to do it, right? They are companies that have to make money. This is never going to happen. And the second thing is they can wait, aka trust me, right? Which is like they just wait for the gas to come down. It can take 1 day, 2 days, you don't know. You're going to have to wait for it to be settled on chain. I don't think this is a great experience as well, and it certainly doesn't go with the blockchain ethos. And so there's another solution, which is like doing gas derivatives and using that to hedge Ethereum gas prices, right? And so what are the characteristics of Ethereum gas, and why nobody has done this before? And the reason is like Ethereum gas is structured in 2 things, right? You have the tip and you have the base fee. And because of this, like, there's no natural short side for this market, right? There's no producer that can take the short side. If we go back to the airlines, the oil producers were taking the short, right? They were betting against the price of oil. In this case, there's no short side, right? And like, why aren't builders and validators the short side? It's because like the base fee is burned. They don't have any access to the base fee, right? They're not the ones setting the base fee, and they're not the ones like making more profit because of the base fee. They only set the tip. And the thing is like the tip is not a problem, right? If you look at here, this is the tip, and this is the base fee. The base fee is the biggest volatility issue, and it's the biggest problem in terms of volatility, right? And so if the builders and the validators can't be the ones taking the short side, like you have to have someone doing it, and you have basically to depend on speculators and degens being the ones willing to take this risk and to hedge and to take the short side. And so many people think that WOBs can solve this, and I think they are a good improvement, but the market dynamics in WOBs are the same as in block space, right? Like, there was huge volatility for a time period in WOBs, and even if things have cooled down now, the market dynamics are the same. So eventually, once WOBs become more saturated, the same thing is going to happen with WOBs that is been happening with block space. And so, what are the potential solutions? Like, I don't think there's any of them is perfect. I've been seeing some options, and I just want to highlight some of them. So one is just like kind of trying to do like physically delivered futures, where like you have an order book and a builder says, a consumer says, I want to pay like X amount of gas for 3 transactions 2 days from now, and then someone on the side says, okay, I can take that price, but then because the builders and the validators don't have access to the base fee, you can actually, like, you're not edging the base fee, and like you need to control a big percentage of the network to actually ensure that these transactions are being fulfilled. And like, again, this is like going to cause huge centralization, and it's really, I don't think it's going to be the solution. So you can take the same order book, but do like cash settled, where like instead of on the other side, someone saying, oh, I'm going to submit your transactions, you just have someone, a speculator, a market maker, whatever you want to call it, that says, okay, I can take your bet, and in 2 days, I'm going to pay for your transactions. But this guy is taking all the risk, right? If in 2 days the price goes 3 times instead of 2 times, he's going to have to be the one paying for that, right? And so he's taking all the risk by himself, and you can't guarantee inclusion, because if the market maker says, oh, this is like too expensive for me to pay, you already paid him, but there's no way for you to enforce him including your transactions, right? And because it's an order book, it's actually extremely hard to bootstrap all of this liquidity, right? Because every single person has different needs of transactions and of gas, and so you always have to find a counterparty willing to take that. And so there's also people trying to do like CDPs or insurance pools, but the thing here is that like you kind of create a base token, a token that like tracks the base fee with like characterized by an LST, and you do like an AMM for price discovery, but this is like very capital inefficient because of like characterization ratios, and it doesn't solve the underlying problem where the LPs of the pool, they're also taking the risk all by themselves, right? They have no way of hedging this. They're just saying, okay, I don't care. I think it's going to come down. I'm going to like bet on it. And if it goes up, I get wrecked. If it doesn't, I make money. And so, again, all of these products are like dependent on speculators to take the short side because there's no natural short side. And the issue with this is that for speculators to actually be willing to take the short side, you have to like make it worth their while, right? So you have to make the yield on the short side very interesting, and this makes the hedging itself very expensive. And that's why one of the reasons why this wasn't done before, because like it was too expensive for people to hedge, and it was like not yield enough for speculators to bet on it. And so, besides creating the actual derivatives, there's a further problem, which is like, now that you have it, like, how are you actually making the apps use this, right? Because like apps, they shouldn't have to need an in-house trader to like buy and sell perpetuals on gas and all of this. Like, it's simply too hard, too complicated, and too risky, right? And you actually, like, having a broker is too TradFi. We also don't want this guy like being the one like hedging our gas positions, right? And so you need to have like a protocol in the middle that acts as kind of like a broker of some sort, and he's the one putting the positions, and he's the one actually creating the edges, like in an automated fashion, right? So like this can look like a lot of different things, but my point is that like besides creating the derivatives, you also have to find a way to actually build the products with it and sell it to dApps. And for me in the future, the perfect thing is like something that like hedges everything, right? So you as like Optimism or you as Uniswap, you can hedge like your base fee, you can hedge like the ETH price, because if users are paying in USDC, you have to hedge for the price of it, because it's also very volatile, right? And then you can also use something like pre-confirmations to hedge the tip. And so like you are fully hedged in terms of gas costs. This is like a complex product, but I think that broker can be the one building it. And I also think this is not only a Ethereum problem, right? Because like gas fees on L2s, they suffer from the same market dynamics, right? Once like OP blocks start to get full, the price starts to going up, and so the apps on L2s have the same issue, and the users on L2s have the same issue. The same with depends, right? So like if like Akash costs of GPUs are dependent on market demands, like you never know how much it's gonna cost you to like run an AI model every day, right? And if you have a service that like relies on you running it every day, you can be spending like different amounts every day. And so, like, I'm not saying that like gas derivatives are gonna be the solution for everything, but like this is a problem in every single one of these ecosystems, and even if gas derivatives are not the solution, something has to be done to solve this problem. And like, I don't know how Ethereum is going to evolve. I don't know if like Vitalik is going to come with like some proposal and some improvement for this, and it's going to make derivatives not needed. But what I do know is that like for now, I think derivatives can be a good short-term solution, and even if they have a lot of problems, I think like there's enough smart guys to try to solve them and to try to make this work. So yeah, thank you all for the time.
That was actually very interesting. I'm not deep into the topic, but it was a really nice talk. So and it was a really good idea and good issue. But I had this question, like you speak about the short side, that there's no natural party to take. Can you elaborate on like the contract solution, how that would be different, or what you, like, is there then someone to take the short side, or how would that work?
You have like speculators, right? So you have like speculators or LPs that are willing to say, oh, I think the price of it is going to go down, so I'm willing to like bet on that. And so if it goes up, I lose my money. If it goes down, I make that profit, right? And then you also have to give them like a premium for them to take that risk, right? But that's why I was saying that like it becomes too expensive, because that premium becomes so high for them to be willing to do it, that it's too expensive to hedge, right? And then if you want to scale this up, right? If you don't want to just be a degen, if you want to be like a professional market maker doing this, you have to have like pretty good predictions of the price of it. And so, yeah, it becomes like really complex to do it as well.
Thank you. So my question is actually about, do you just do it for ETH gas, also for overall application activity? Because from my understanding, if you have a DApp, well, you need to estimate what is going to be the price of gas, let's say, but also how many users will use your DApp. Because in the example of a plane, for example, well, you know how much gas you will need to be able to fly the plane. But for your DApp, well, you need to know how many customers multiplied by the price of gas you will need to spend, right? And actually with the smart contract solution, it seems that it is feasible. It will not be easy with a synthetic of Ethereum gas price, but with your solution, that seems possible. So is it something that you intend to do, like to allow people to describe any kind of activity, not just the Ethereum gas price, or not?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not building any solution. I'm just like I'm just like presenting and doing some research on the topic. And I'm not an expert at all. But answering your question, you are totally right. But what apps have to do is like so how I see like airlines doing it is like this is the max amount of like weight I can have on my plane, right? So this is like the max amount of like oil I'm going to spend on this travel. The same for applications, right? This is like the max amount of gas a user can spend on my application per like whatever you want to do, right? If it's like a swap, they spend X. If it's like 2 swaps or whatever, they spend like 2X. So you have to calculate that, but that's on the application side, right? The protocol doing the derivatives, they shouldn't care about that. That's like the broker job and the application job, right? So like the protocol that says, whatever you want to edge, I'm here to do it, but like you have to be the one doing those estimations. And that's why I'm saying you need that broker, because I don't think the application is going to have the skill to do that.
Yeah, I have a question. So you mentioned that like you will have a lot of the logic for the decision making is done on chain, right? Through the smart contract that you mentioned, that replaced the traditional broker, etc. So I had the impression that this logic is actually pretty heavy usually. So how do you have any thoughts on this could work, or it's just still open question?
Yeah, well, I think that's like a bigger question than like on this topic, right? Because it's all about like how do you solve like computation heavy things and put them on chain. Like there's a few solutions for that, right? But I don't know how is it gonna be if it's like off chain and then like something like you have a proving system on chain to like prove it, or it's done totally on chain. I don't know. But my point there was more to explain that like simply having the derivatives, I don't think it's enough. You also have to like have some party doing that computation. If it's off chain or on chain, we can discuss it, but I didn't go that deep into that topic yet. Yeah.
Can you come closer?
How do you compare approaches where you go directly to the builders and negotiate with them at fixed price versus the derivatives? There's only 3 builders right now.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, those builders aren't necessarily setting the base fee, right? They can like guarantee you a tip, but like if the base fee goes up, the builders themselves have to pay for it, right? So like a builder can say, oh, I'm gonna like allow you to like pay for like 15 GUI for a transaction, right? But the builder only controls the tip. If Ethereum then on the base fee level, if they say, oh, actually like, so let's say the builder plans that like from the 15, 10 is base fee and then 5 is tip, but then Ethereum says, oh, now the base fee is 15. The builder either doesn't make money or it has to come from their pocket, right? So they're not the ones like setting the base fee, so they also have to take the risk on themselves, right? So they can do it, of course, but...
They can take the edge. Like builders are more professional.
Oh, yeah, oh, okay. So you are saying that like builders are the ones taking the hedge. Yeah, that's possible, yeah, but again, you are centralizing it a lot because there's only 3 of them. But yeah, but I agree that like in theory, builders could be the ones hedging it, and they are much better at doing it than anyone else. So yeah, I agree with that.
We have time for one more question.
I can do it without it.
If you can record.
Sure. What's a blob? Like, honestly, I understood. It's weird. I understand derivatives. I even understand derivatives on gas, but what's a blob?
Yeah, so well, I don't know the formal definition, but it's like, so L2s only need to like post transactions on chain, right? They don't need to like, and so the blob is just like a separate entity of like, instead of you having to like spend on gas costs, it's just like, because you just have to put the data on chain, blob is just that amount of data that you need to put, right? And so it's a separate market. So if you have to do computation, you pay block space. If you have to post data, you pay blob. Like I'm overly simplifying it, but that's my understanding. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Amazing questions as well. Thank you, Diogo.